mean, it's interesting too, because the driving is kind of like, it induces this kind of trance state or like pervasive awareness or thinking that is hard for me to access otherwise. So, there's a kind of tuning in that happens when I'm driving. It's almost like I turn the on switch up, so that I'm in a state of awareness, I guess. But the driving is just really the first, I guess, piece of the puzzle. Once I find a place that I want to photograph that has a kind of mystery and authority that I can't ignore, then it's time to really get to work, which is getting out and walking around and then waiting for something to happen. And there was something about it that felt aligned with the way that I was already interested in living. In undergrad, whether it was in school or during time off, I was taking these kind of rootless trips around, just kind of investigating and see what would happen. And I figured out that if you attached a camera to that process, it was somehow different and justified. So at some point, those two things clicked for me, and I guess that was sort of the first time that I thought maybe this is a way forward or an interesting path that I can take. But it was so naive. I don't know. I didn't have any expectations about results. It was more just the excitement of being engaged with that type of thinking, I guess. Well, it's all based on a kind of mutual curiosity. I think all the pictures kind of originate from this moment of intimacy and vulnerability that we both have to partake in order for it to work. But in terms of meeting someone and sort of getting to the next steps of making the picture, there's no secret to how it happens. It's just felt like you kind of walk around typically where people are going to be congregated or spending time outside, and I just walk up to someone and express interest in them. The camera is usually out at first just so that they know it's not some surprise later. I kind of let them know nuts and bolts right off the bat, that I'm a photographer. I'm traveling around looking to spend time with someone, that I'm interested in them, and then, I'd love to take their picture and spend time with them. And that, putting it all kind of out on the table right away is a good way to cut to the chase, because, people will say no or yes immediately, and it just kind of develops from those points. there's a lot of disconnect in terms of access for viewing art in general. So yeah, it certainly crosses my mind. All I can say about that is that when I'm photographing someone, there has to be this kind of notion of a mutual relationship, and I have to communicate those talking points about, I'm a photographer, so I show in galleries, I make photography books, so there's a chance that you might be participating in that. How do you feel about that, And so those kind of questions are discussed. For what it's worth, a lot of the people that I spend time with, I will bring them back prints, and there's some kind of closing of the circle in a nice way by doing that. And then also it varies with people's interest in the pictures once they have them, which is kind of interesting. The pictures live in a different way, I guess, than, outside of the book form or the gallery wall that maybe has some meaning. I feel like at its core, at its heart, the work that I am interested in making is kind of about understanding what family and community mean. So that means spending time with people, living with subjects, friends, collaborators, working with them, and really, really trying to get to this place of intimacy, of vulnerability, of reciprocity and care that all comes from the beginning of curiosity about someone else. So those deeper levels of understanding that happen when you spend time with somebody. So people are really at the center of what I'm interested in.
And lastly, a thank you to the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I've used Squarespace for 3 years now, and it's one of the best investments I've ever made. I am able to easily share my work with their customizable galleries, and I can sell prints and easily get paid with their simple-to-use online shop. I can also use their third-party extensions to even ship those prints if I feel so inclined. If you want to support the channel, as well as get a small discount, go to squarespace.com/BrianBurks and use code BrianBurks for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.